So we got the transmission plate installed and it has the mechanism to lock out the input shaft. Now before I install the new battery pack, the bigger battery pack, I need to test that lockout. I want to make sure there are no noises, no interference, no scratches, no binding, anything of that nature. And to do that, I want to install all the electronic apparatus back in, the inverter, the battery pack, the safety box. I don't think we'll need the charger, and I don't think we'll need the DC-DC converter for this, but I plan on spinning the motor in 3 different modes. First, MG2 by itself. So I was running this truck only by spinning motor number 2, and I achieved that by going inside the software code and zeroing out the torque signals for MG1. So right now as a baseline, I'm just going to spin this transmission using MG2. It shouldn't make any strange noises. Then I'm going to enable only MG1 by itself, and then I'm going to enable MG1 and MG2, so both motors. So come along with me as we do that. Okay, dude, so here we have the inverter is all hooked up. That's pretty much all we can see on the top. No battery charger, no DC-DC converter on here. The regular car battery is hooked up for the low voltage power. And now we're going to dive under the truck and I'll show you the ultra sketch setup of the battery pack and the safety box underneath here. So here's the battery pack, same formation as above. The safety box, you can see, is above it. I'm going to walk around the truck so you can see the safety box up close, but that's what's under here. Pretty simple. All right, so we're in the front of the truck, and these 2 connectors, one's for the DC-DC converter, one's for the battery charger. Obviously, those devices are not connected. We don't need them. And then here's the safety box. Couple fuses for the DC and the charger, but it's basically the safety box with its CAN control and the battery pack underneath the truck. And so, yeah, we're going to try to do a first spin. No changes to the software. This is only going to spin MG2, but that's our baseline. That's how we were driving the truck, only sending torque signals to MG2. So something I want to do before actually spinning the transmission is disable the electric transmission fluid pump, or as we like to call it, the oil pump. So I'm going to pull the relay for it because that is quite noisy actually, and I just want to eliminate that noise. No, I wouldn't drive the truck without the oil pump pumping, but for a few quick spins, I just want it perfectly silent. So I'm going to pull that relay. Yep. Sure. Ugh, easy. There it is. Just a typical four-pin relay for the transmission pump. Okay, dudes, you're gonna be my eyes and ears. I'm gonna watch the tire spin both in reverse and forward, and listen to any noises, scratches, whatever coming from the transmission, if any. Here we go. This is our first spin, MG2 only. So I'm pretty happy with that. I give it 2 thumbs up. Next, I'm going to only spin it with MG1. So I'm going to show you a bit of the software and how I change the torque to 0 for MG2, and then I enable the torque for MG1. So here we go. Alright guys, a quick shout out to the man himself, Artur of Artur's Garage, for showing me how to do this next part. Alright guys, having tested MG2 by itself just the way I had it when I was driving the truck around for a couple years, now it's time to disable MG2 and only enable MG1. For that, we're going to need our laptop, and I'm going to make some code changes. If I can figure out how to do some screen recordings while I do that, I will show you how I'm making these code changes. Otherwise, I'll maybe just show you screenshots. it doesn't really matter. I'm using the older VCU. If anybody's doing EV conversions these days, most likely you're using the newer zombie verter. But I like the old VCU, and for now, I'm sticking with it. So I'm going to hook up the laptop to my VCU using a USB cable. I'll bring you in here shaky cam style so you can see that. And yeah, we'll go for it. All right, here we are in the code, and we're under this subroutine, whatever called control inverter. And there is a section here where we set up the torque for MG2, and then based on MG2, we set up torque for MG1. And currently in my code, I have MG1 torque set to 0. So what I need to do is remove the remarks for MG1 so that it can get its torque setting based on MG2's voodoo, and then I will turn around and disable MG2 now, so that this should only give torque signals to MG1. And I'm going to save this as MG1 only. Okay, so this is saved, and now what we need to do, we really need to push this to the VCU using the USB cable. So let me see if we are connected here. Okay. So it's uploading or compiling. Let's see if this is going to be successful. You can see down here it says compiling sketch, and to the right of that we have our progress bar. This laptop is old, and sometimes when it thinks it's running on battery power only, it takes forever, but I just don't want to mess with it now. Okay, I think that did it. Okay, let's see if I can disconnect this USB one-handed. There it is. So there's my fuse block and my VCU, vehicle control unit from EV BMW. So yeah, let's give it a try. This should only run on MG1 now. Okay, it's time to test MG1 by itself. This is pretty exciting for me. I wore the mic on my shirt for testing MG2 by itself. I'm going to do the same for MG1. And then I also did a test by placing this thing on the transmission bracket. And this mic is junk, so it's very sensitive and it picks up all kinds of noises. But let me assure you that spinning MG2 by itself was very smooth. So I hope to replicate that for MG1. And then maybe I'll find a better place for this mic and put it maybe on the seat inside the cab so we can really hear the transmission. Again, the oil pump is disconnected, that being the transmission oil or transmission fluid pump. So it's not making any noises. And we're just doing a few basic spins, spin in reverse and spin in forward. So here we go. So not sure that you were able to notice, but nothing happened when I was doing the reverse test. And that's because MG1 is set not to assist in reversing the vehicle. So when we have the gear in reverse, MG1 is set to send zero. We're set to set zero torque signals to MG1. So I won't lie to you, I didn't do that deliberately. I totally forgot about that. But as soon as nothing happened in the truck, I thought, oh, idiot, it's not supposed to. So we just spin MG1 forward. But that's okay. That's how we're going to be driving it. Again, when we reverse the vehicle, Under normal driving conditions, only MG2 powers us in reverse, but to go forward, we will use both motors. And that's what I'm going to do next is I'm going to enable both MG1 and MG2. So here we go. All right, we just uploaded the final changes to the code, basically returning it to the way it was originally, both MG1 and MG2 enabled. So after all the hoopla and all the changes to disable MG2, MG1, now we're just back to the way we get the code originally. So now I'm going to jump in the truck, put the camera on the wheel, and let you guys listen and see what happens when we're spinning both MG1 and MG2, which is what we want for the final outcome here. Okay, I think that's as normal as it's got to sound. There's no load on the wheels because of the regen issues and all this kind of stuff. I don't really want to spin this up to 10,000 RPM. So I'm going to call it quits here. Maybe I'll put you guys underneath the truck and let you look at the drive shaft as it spins and hear it from there with both MG1 and MG2. But as far as the wheel test, I'm satisfied. don't I don't hear anything horrific, anything to be concerned over. So I think this part of phase 2 may be completed.